I had to make an adjustment here. It's going live, but just from a different platform. So let's see what the timing is on this thing, man. How long will it take? Let's see. I'm gonna check one of my platforms and see. Facebook. No. Let's go to YouTube. To Marriage Ain't for Suckers.
Yeah, we live on the what's the name?
Oh, we live. So my thing is showing like it's not. Okay. So I can see us. Look at that. I heard my voice in my ears.
Come on.
There he is. Okay. All right. So everything else says stream is successful. So Quest, what I'm gonna do, we just prayed. I'm thankful for that, man. I never want to pray and then, right, move on. All right, now that we prayed, we just jump in. But yeah, I'm thankful, man. I'm thankful. What I want to see, there's a thing that you can see the chat for all the platforms. I'm not using Restream today. I'm using another one. What's up, y'all? So you get to see us figure out certain things, man. I know y'all used to the lights, camera, action, but I'm not too proud to be vulnerable on this different platform today. I want to see where that new chat thing is. I can't find it, so I won't make y'all wait forever. So, yeah, big up to whoever you are, wherever you are. Wherever you are. Let me go live events. Let's go to that live events page. So we're live on your Quest?
Yeah, I'm right here. I don't know what happened. It just froze a while ago.
Okay. Live events.
Yep, I'm here.
You're there.
Mm-hmm.
You sure you're there?
I'm here.
I'm here. You're here.
I'm here.
You're here or you're there?
I'm here.
Oh.
I guess in my context, I'm here. In your context, I'm there.
Okay.
Is that?
Because
you know me, I'm not politically correct.
I confuse Josiah every day with that kind of stuff, and he gets so frustrated. Because he knows I'm playing with him.
Yeah, that's like what my father would do.
Yeah, man. Who's on first? Like, yeah. All right, y'all. So, welcome all. I'm going to just do one last piece of rambling because I want to put up one of my pages on my cell phone. Let's see. Yo, okay. Yeah. So I hope you all are doing well. We are definitely thankful, man. How are the holidays, Quest, while I get ready for the audio part?
I will, you know what? Let's get into it.
Let's do it for everybody?
For everybody.
Okay. All right.
It's a lot in there.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and get that audio ready. I don't know. I just need to say one thing though before I do. Yeah. Quiet on the set.
Peace, y'all. It's your man Dave with my brother Quest, the man bringing you all things marriage, paying you huge dividends on your investment in time with us. We're talking about love, sex, having children, money, spirituality, life, communication, and anything else to help you thrive and win in your relationships. And guess what? This is grown folks' business. So get ready to make grown-up decisions. You know why? Because marriage ain't for suckers. That's the name of the program. Marriage ain't for suckers. All right, let's get into it. Hey, yo, Quest, it's time to give the people something, man. What we talking about today?
What up? I know that was kind of loud. That one was loud, D.
That's all right. You're gonna get the in-ear ones one day.
I get it to myself sometimes. I'm like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? What up, y'all? Welcome to another edition of the Marriage Ain't for Suckers podcast. It is a joy, honor, and privilege to be with my brother every week. Y'all already know who I am. I'm your host with the most, Quest, alongside my man, my man, my co-host. You know what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, L. David Harris.
Oh, wait. Oh. Just a little something different for y'all today. Hey, Quest. Guess what?
What?
Class is in session.
Yes, indeed, it is. Man, it's been 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
right, since we did this. So I want to say Happy New Year to everybody who is listening to the podcast live or who will listen to the rebroadcast when we push to all the platforms.
Yes, sir.
I want to say thank you for continuing to support by listening. And do me a favor, um, stop by marriageaintforsuckers.com
Mm-hmm.
uh, and join the community. Join the community. And do me a favor as well. Go by whatever platform you use to listen to the podcast. Leave us a review, follow, so that you can be kept up to date. And that's a small way to support what we do, right? It doesn't cost you anything, but maybe a minute or two. But go by there, follow the podcast, whether it be on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you go. Follow, leave us a review. You know what I'm saying? And share with somebody. Share the podcast with somebody else. We're trying to make sure that in this season, in this new 2023, right, that marriages have necessary information. Information changes situations. A lot of the times, there are decisions to be. Not a lot of the times, decisions are made every day, all throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have the information to make the decision, you're going to make the decision based on the information that you have, right? And it can be the difference between knowing the plane is in the air or knowing it's on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, I think I got that.
Yeah. And so please do me a favor. Go by and do that for us, and we will love you for that. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Happy New Year to you, D-Man.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Happy New Year.
Yep. God has blessed us to be amongst the land of the living.
Yeah, man. You're looking good, man.
I'm trying my best.
I know you've been through some interesting times recently.
Oh, very much so. So I just want to just for real, man. You know, a lot of the times we don't have worship sessions on the podcast, but I just want to give God a big thank you, a big hug, and a big kiss, like for real, man. There are a number of people that did not make it to 23, and then there are some who made it to 23 and didn't finish out the month.
Oh,
Much less didn't finish out the week, much less the month.
true
You know what I'm
indeed.
saying? And so I'm thankful for life. I'm thankful for your life. I'm thankful for the life of Simone and Josiah who keep you. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
Thankful for Faith and the boys, as cantankerous as they can be sometimes, and Zoe because they keep me going for real, for real. So blessings all around. But yeah, it's been an interesting 2 weeks, man. So the last time we were together, you know, Zoe caught COVID, and we thought we were doing our greatest in keeping her quarantined. And I actually ended up contracting COVID. And then after I got sick, 2 days later, Faith contracted COVID. And so we had planned to go up to, the tri-state area, Jersey and New York, you know what I'm saying, for 2 weeks. And we ended up only having to go for one because we were here quarantined in the house. Funny enough, the boys never got it. How, I don't know.
Yay.
You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? So thank God for that. Although we did we took the necessary precautions with them. We kept them masked up, right? And kept them pretty much downstairs while I was in the bedroom. Faith was in the guest room. And then we were about to switch places. I was like, when I came up out of it, and she was like, no, I'll stay here because then that means you got to go and disinfect both places all over again and come in here and do. So I'll just stay here. I was like, all right.
So you saying Nico cooked for you?
No, man, Nico didn't do no cooking. It was me and Faith all the way. We were ordering food and then had Zoe. When Zoe came up out of it, we had Zoe running.
Dang, taking turns like
Man,
that.
We had to do what was necessary. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So yeah, man, we're here. And then we got over COVID, like tested negatively the day before Christmas. So
Okay.
early Christmas morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning, we packed up. Everybody got in the car. We drove to Jersey, and we made it there about 12:01.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? There wasn't nobody on the roads Christmas Day, so I was, my foot was down on the pedal. You know what I'm saying? And what was supposed to be 9 hours, I think we made in like 7.5, 8 hours.
I can't speak on that. I can't speak on that.
But needless to say, man, we made it up there in pretty decent time.
Mhm.
And yeah, man, Yeah, man, we spent time with family. It was good. We spent the New Year's with them as well. And we came home the day after New Year's.
Okay. Okay.
So it's been pretty eventful, man. I'm still dealing with a little bit of the COVID stuff, if you will, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's and it's not nothing major. It's just like this phlegm on my chest. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And just the cough. I don't even really have the cough anymore, but more, sinus and phlegm. Other than that, good as gold.
That makes me happy, man.
Yeah.
That makes me happy. I was like, wow, this is interesting.
It makes me
Yeah.
happy too because it took my grandmother out of here. It took my uncle out of here. You know what I'm saying? And so for me to, to experience it, and my uncle, it took my uncle out of here last year. It took my grandmother out of here at the end of, not the end, but the summer of 19, the ending summer of 19. It took her out of here.
Bro, Simone's grandma is 96. One of her grandmas, they're 1 year apart, but the one who's in Jersey, she got COVID of like a month ago, I guess, and she got it again already. Yeah, so this thing ain't no joke.
And it's still out here. It's still out here taking lives.
Yep. So thankful to see you, man. Thankful that Keep the Faith is good and the young queen Zoe is good.
Yeah, man.
And those two young lions in the house.
Oh man, lions indeed.
Yeah.
Lions indeed, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Jokers right there, boy. Oof.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's get into it, man. We got some good stuff to talk about today.
Well, I'm saying, like, you tell me what's on. I always got to find out what's good on the island. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, life is life.
I know you was gonna say life is life.
Yeah, what we didn't do. I'm gonna start with what we didn't do. We normally go to the North Coast. I know you like that, even though you're a Yeraten dude. I don't know how that go, but okay.
But I'm gonna be honest with you. My love is with the North Coast. I will.
I know this. And there's no diss. I mean, it is beautiful, right? Yeah. So we did not go to the North Coast for Boxing Day, which is the day after the 25th, like we normally would. But it was still sweet. We invested time in the city this time with family there. And then on Sunday, I connected with one of my brothers, Noel and Saint T, right? Saint Elizabeth, right?
Yeah.
So Simone and I did. So for those of you that don't know the map of Jamaica, to get from St. Catherine to St. Elizabeth, you go through Clarendon, up into the hills of Manchester, and depending on where in St. Elizabeth you are, you go down or across, right?
Yes.
Well, guess what Dave did? Because Dave has no fear, unfortunately. Dave found a road that shoots straight through Clarendon, doesn't go up in nobody's hills, and hits the coastline straight to St. Elizabeth. And you know what that means?
That means hills and precipice and.
That means scary stuff, but no hills and no idea. Like we were on some movie road. Like I'm talking about my SUV got scratched for 20 km because of Macabush on both sides. That's how it was. For 20 km. So you don't know if you're going to come out of there or if you're not going to come out of there. And Simone's like, how do I always end up in here with you with this kind of stuff? Like for 20 some years, like how does this happen? And I'm like, we good, like always, man. So if I had a drone, I would have threw the drone up and to see if we were going to get out. But listen, when we got to the clearing in St. Elizabeth, because listen, this is an abandoned road that's not a road for a whole long time. We were on that thing for 2 hours, bro, on a non-road for 2 hours, scraping both sides of the truck and the top.
So what? I mean, like it's a road they just don't use anymore.
That's correct. That is correct. Big craters. There are a couple times that my other SUV, if we had that one, we would have probably had to turn back. But since I had the big boy, I was driving the big boy. I locked the differential, bro. I already had it in 4-wheel drive, but I locked the differential on a couple of spots on that to get up out of there, man. It was good though.
I mean, I ain't gonna front though. D, that kind of stuff really excites me to be able to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
It's
see
like,
those big old tires you got on something over your house.
oh yeah, you already know. Like in the off-road, it is no joke.
Yeah.
But like, you know, when you go, especially through Fern Gully, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a old riverbed. I mean, we don't have to go that way no more because, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
you got the highway that cuts right through El Diablo.
Yeah.
But man, to be able to, you know what I'm saying, take that and all the trees coming over, like, so that
Yeah.
kind of stuff excites me. I still, even though the highways there, I still want to take. I don't even know if they use Fern Gully anymore, but
Yeah, Fern Gully's good. It's a clear road. It's a
okay,
clear road. It goes
all
through
right,
your area before
yeah,
you get to Fern Gully from my
yeah,
side. And
yeah.
then no, Fern Gully's good, man. It's
All the
just
places like Alcan where they used to have the buckets that used to travel on the railing, you know, that
uh
what they call that thing? It's like a zip line that all the buckets with the bauxite used to travel
yeah,
on
yeah,
back in
yeah,
the day.
yeah.
Or that train that goes into the mountain over there actually that's close up to Sluggerville, right there on where Flatbridge is, the train that goes into
Uh-huh.
the mountain over there. I don't
Yes,
even
sir.
know if they still run it or not, but
Yep. So you know your country, man. So we had a good time, and I got some of that scratched off paint buffed out yesterday. But I ain't playing with you, man. If I need to show you the video. But anyway, so that's what we did. We're safe and sound like usual. We
I
had a
love
good
it.
time in St. T with Noel and his sis, and we got back on home, man. And they out in the country right now. I'm here in the studio.
Oh,
They
wicked.
out in the country. Josiah giving them 6 love, giving the big men 6 love. I don't know how he always does that,
Yo,
but he
let me
giving the
find
big
out
men six
Josiah
love,
up
bro.
here playing dominoes like a champ.
I don't get it, bro. He don't know a thing, but he continues to do that every year.
Uh,
I don't know how he does it. I was like that when I was a kid, but it
Holy
just
Ghost
a
doves.
thing. It's just a thing. Yeah,
I love
yeah,
it.
yeah. So
I love it. I
yeah,
love it.
Simone still loves me. I love her. So I told you a little extra stuff, but I probably won't say in the microphone. But
Yeah, don't say it
yeah,
now.
man, we still getting along, and it's a
I love the
blessing.
fact that she's, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, man, we still getting along real well.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So let's get into this thing, man.
Yep.
I think one of the things that are important in New Year always brings new things, right?
Yes, sir.
New ways of thinking, new ways of executing. It just brings things new. Or if they don't, then you start thinking about how to do things differently. It was funny because Faith said to me today, I want to spend 2023 looking for a new lane, if you will, on how I make my money.
How
She said,
keep the faith makes some money?
how she
No,
makes.
that's interesting.
It's funny because she said how she makes our money.
Okay. That's
Um,
real interesting to me.
and I kind of got excited because I was like, Faith is not the camera kind of person, right? She
Hmm.
don't- and I'm trying to get her to do that a little bit more because D, when me and you do what we do as individuals, it's dope.
Right.
But when we do what we do with our spouses, it's explosive. For
If
whatever
we could get all of us on, because Simone loved the camera more than me. Like I'm more like Faith, but my gifts are public, so I can't hide like she do.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Faith is a very um, project management, rules and regulatory affairs. She's that kind of person where she does everything from the background and does a wonderful job doing it because of her detail. But I think in this season of life, God is calling her to something, and I just what I'm seeing. I could be wrong, but I think that God is calling her to something different in this season of life. But Faith ain't really interested in, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And I'm finding this conversation to be like the segue into, we have names for our lives, we have names for ourselves, and we have a mindset that goes along with that name
Mm-hmm.
that we have for ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe that in this season that God wants to, like, you know what the word says, his ways are not our ways and his thoughts are not our thoughts. I want to be good, not good. I want to be phenomenal at everything that I do. Why? Because God is phenomenal.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not saying that I'm trying to be like God, but I'm trying to be like God in the sense that, Lord, what are your ways? What are your thoughts? and let me fall in alignment with whatever your ways and your thoughts are, right? Because I realize that when we do that, not only are we in alignment, but we experience all the things that we want in terms of success, because he said, I know the plans that I have towards you.
Yeah, he promised it, man. So the devil wanted to be like God, but God wants us to be God-like.
Oh, come on, bro.
Like he wanted to replace God. Like he wanted to be an imitation supplanter of God. Like he wanted to like usurp God, dethrone God. So that's not what we're talking about. But listen, if you look like daddy, man, that's the right thing.
I'm just saying.
If you're God-like, then that means that his success is your success. His resources are your resources.
Yeah. Yeah. So in that same vein, like we were talking earlier on before we got on the podcast, that, you know, when Malcolm went to jail, you know what I'm saying? When he had the transformation and he came out, his name was no longer Malcolm X.
No.
And his name was no longer Malcolm Little. He changed it to Malcolm X. Why? Because he was denouncing the old, you know what I'm saying? Whoever gave him the name, because it was not in alignment with what his history, or he, you know, was under the belief that he got the name Malcolm Little from, you know, slave masters that handed that name down. Same thing with the greatest boxer in the world, Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
He ended up changing his name to Muhammad Ali. And we sat there and, you know, as I was listening to E preach this sermon this weekend and talking about changing your name, what is the name that our marriage has or was given to us? You know what I'm saying? And how can we change it such that it's in alignment with what God has in store for us?
See, that's real sweet to me, because I've seen, unfortunately, generations of failed marriage relationships. And I can't say it another way to make nobody who's listening feel better.
Yeah.
So if you're married for 2 decades and more, but the only reason you're married for 2 decades and more is because of commitment to marriage, and you don't want to disrupt something, but you're not thriving, that's not successful marriage. I mean, it's admirable sort of fortitude, but it's not successful marriage. It's not the model, right? So I've seen that in my family unit. Like, my parents were together for 23 years. I'm coming up on 22 years, but they were not happy. And it was worse than not happy, right? And as soon as I graduated from grade 8, my mom was like, all right, gotta go. Because she felt like she was staying together so that it wouldn't disrupt me. But I mean, her mindset wasn't healthy on that anyway, because my life was already disrupted. She did her best, but I'm just saying.
Pause for a moment. I think I want to just stay right there just for a moment.
Yes, sir.
Most parents think or are under the impression that it makes a difference if you get divorced when your child is in the 8th grade or the 3rd grade, as opposed to 11th grade or the 12th grade, or even as an adult. It makes no difference. Even as an adult, you get divorced, your children will be affected in a adverse kind of way.
Correct.
You know, so it doesn't make any difference. You know what I'm saying? If this is the relationship that you find, I'm not an advocate for divorce. Let me just say that first and foremost. I'm an advocate for being educated on who you are, becoming unique, separate, and whole, right? Whole individual, like WHOLE, whole, mind, body, and spirit.
Complete.
And then in that idea of singleness, right, which is unique, separate, and whole, choosing a partner and building a life together, right? I think what ends up happening is because people are choosing partners while they have not fully achieved the mindset, or you know what I'm saying, if we want to call it an ideology of singleness, and then getting together and then realizing that, oh, this is not the person for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then your children end up suffering because now you're saying, okay, Gab, if you're going to do that from the jump.
I think the Bible says that the 2 became 1. It didn't say the 1/2. It didn't say the 1/4 and 1/4 plus some external somebody. equals a whole. He said the two. So one person who's whole, and I'm not trying to make a crazy ideal like there's nothing that we can add to one another when we get married. But the point is, everything that you just said about who we are to be when we're married, once that's the reality, then when we come together, the learning process and all of the pain and all of the challenges and the growth, those are par for the course. But they're not like remedial, overcoming stuff that should have been overcome before we got married.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so what is it that people told us about our marriages? Like, there's a thing, D, that's referred to as an attachment style, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when so before I even get to it, an attachment style is, in layman's terms, what you've witnessed in terms of marriage from your parents. And so you construct or you build your ideas about marriage based upon how you grew up in your home and witnessed it as far as your parents are concerned, right?
Yeah.
Then you get with somebody else who has their attachment style, and when the two of you come together, you form what is called a core pattern. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But you can have a good core pattern or
not
bad, you know what I'm saying? Or not a good core pattern. And what I've come to realize is that, for me specifically, like, my marriage was named divorce long before it got even started.
Say it again, man. Your marriage
My marriage
had an identity before
it even started.
What was it?
It
What was the identity? Divorce.
Yeah, divorce was the identity. Because I never saw my grandmother with another. I'm talking about my entire life.
Bro, I've known you for
and you ain't
more than 40 years, and I don't know about a grandpa.
You've never seen Barbara Robert Shaw with another man.
Wow.
Never seen it. Solo dolo. Dedicated her life to God, right?
Okay.
But I know there had to be a man there, because as far as I know, Mary was the only one with immaculate conception.
You're here, ain't you? So somebody before you got here.
And here's the funny thing. Not just once, not twice, 3 times. She had 3 daughters. My Auntie Veronica, my mom, and my Auntie Kippy. The 3 of them. So I know that there was a man there before, right?
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening, I found out later on that she was married 2 times. Before the man that gave her children, she was married to a Robert Shaw, of course. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then, so I know that there was somebody there. Never seen, I remember meeting my grandfather when I was in elementary school. And it was so far back in elementary school. We're talking about like 2nd, 3rd grade, maybe.
So Brooklyn,
them days, Brooklyn days. You feel me? Such to the point that I vaguely remember. I know it's Wilson. I know it. I'd like, for real. I vaguely remember what he even looks like.
Okay.
Right? So I know that. Along comes my mother and father.
Yeah.
They get married, and in the 2nd grade they get divorced. Right? And that led me to coming back to New York and growing up in a home with 5 women where I'm the only male.
Let me go to that generation. So you're coming to the one right before you. So let me get to the one 2 removed, like you just did. I put in a slide yesterday. I did a presentation at Willardine Group of Schools for teachers and principals.
Yeah.
Right. And I was talking about where I came from. And on my mom's side, my grandfather, right, he in the 30s and before, he was a big time evangelist, big time pastor, right? Okay, of a particular church. He was the first pastor of a particular church. My grandmother was the first church secretary, church treasurer, and métis of the pastor.
Wow.
You want to define that for me?
Wow. Métis.
Yeah.
Side piece. jump off. Yeah.
So he had intercourse with his church secretary. Then my mom is the child. She's actually the first child that, as far as I know, born into that church. If I say the church, some of y'all would know it.
Between him and Manti.
Correct.
Okay.
And then he disfellowships or removes his baby's mother from the church role.
Wow. So he could maintain. Yeah. Wow.
And my mother passed away in 2020 and still didn't have his name on her birth paper.
Wow.
He never accepted it. She looked just like the dude.
Wow.
Okay, so let's get to the generation above you. Your turn.
Yeah. So, man, it's funny. They get divorced when I was in second grade, which caused my mother, because my father joined the Air Force.
Okay.
Right. He got a citizenship. He joined the Air Force, and we moved to Texas. We were living in Fort Worth on Carswell Air Force Base at the time.
Okay.
They got divorced, and when they got divorced, of course, my mother, my sister, and myself came back to live with my grandmother. Right? No, first we were in Brooklyn, and then we left Brooklyn and went back to Queens, where my grandmother was. All right. When we decided to go and finally move to Queens, my grandmother was there already, my Auntie Veronica was there, and my Auntie Kippy was there. It then came me, my mother, and my sister. So now you have my grandmother, my Auntie Veronica, my mother, my Auntie Kippy, and my sister.
And the house is small.
It's I mean,
it wasn't like
everybody got a bedroom, but it's not like the house we have now.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we talking about Queens, you know what I'm saying? Like, decent, but there's all five of us. It ain't big where you can move. I mean, you have your space, but you can't move and nobody don't know that you move.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Flush the toilet, they'll hear it.
Oh, everybody.
Be in the kitchen cooking, everybody knows.
Hearing.
So it's a close-knit space.
The only time,
because I remember the house.
Yes, the only time you can barely get away is when you're in your room and the door is closed.
Gotcha.
That's
all right,
the only way you can get away from anything. And even then, you know what I'm saying? And just think about what it is for a male to grow up in a home with five women who have either been burned by relationship or are moving from one relationship to the next. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, sir.
Yeah, my grandmother who's already experienced it. My mom is in there. You know what I'm saying? And there's some dynamics where I felt like, looking back now, I paid the price for some stuff that men did because I was the only male in the...
That's right. That's right. Mindset determines sometimes, or experience sometimes determines how people behave toward one another.
So imagine that dynamic moving through life and then watching my mom get remarried at... I remember after my after my sophomore year of high school.
Oh, that's why I missed it, because I left New York after we were sophomores. I was gone.
Yes. Yeah, so imagine after my second year, I went to go visit my father for the summer, and coming back. And all of these things are affecting the decision making, affecting the mindset, affecting a number of different things. Imagine coming back only to find out I'm not going back to my grandmother's house, but I'm going to Jersey.
Oh yeah, I missed all of that.
Because they moved.
Okay.
Remember, I was going to school in Jersey. That's how I met Faith.
But see, I went to Pennsylvania at that time, so I missed it.
Yep. So imagine all of those different things. So what am I saying? I'm saying that the decisions that were made and the experience that I had pretty much named who I was going to be in relationship on a serious level long before it ever took place.
Now, that's interesting. All right, so let's go on mine. So my mom marries an Air Force dude who becomes a pastor. And he was good at what he did at work, but not good at family.
Mm.
I'll just keep that as simple as I can keep it.
Sidebar, there's a lot of dudes who claiming that right now
Yeah.
and claiming it like it's a badge. Like I'm dope as an officer in the military or whatever it is on my job, or I'm executive, but I'm not dope at. Don't say that no more, please.
Yeah, don't do that. Unless
That's a
you're
whole
saying
nother
that you're
story.
recovering from that
Yeah,
problem.
that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. So, you know, life at home was not nice. I was on the road at probably about 8, 9, what we called in New York latchkey kids.
Mm.
So up to grade 2, I remember going to someone's house after school when I was at Linden, Jamaica school.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved to what was just Linden School by Linden School. So I guess that's grade 3. So that's 8 years of age. So I was 8, and it was just me, right? My big sister's bigger than me. She's older than me. So when I would come home from school, you know, she's into boys and all that by now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So I'm by myself, man. So whatever the hood, the community, and everything else had to offer, the black and white TV, all of that had to offer, and it wasn't nice. And then when the parents did get together, it was war all the time, man. It felt like it was all the time. And when we did go to church, well, we did go to church. I shouldn't say when we did. We went to church, and I used to hear all this wonderful stuff if we happened to be there with my dad. And I hear this wonderful stuff
About who he was as an individual.
Yeah, you know, when they with the microphone, like you hear him on the microphone right now and now,
Yes.
you know, and they announce him and he's coming to do what he does and he does well. And they talk about him. And I'm like, wow, I kind of wish that dude lived in my house. Like, that would be great. So fast forward now, they got divorced when I was 13 after 23 years of them being married. So put that where that is. Now, fast forward, I get baptized when I'm 23. And then my gifts are very similar. Now I have a more mature mindset, and I'm seeing that I'm basically him. I have his DNA. Hello. And then I become this public guy, same like him. And I'm hearing a lot of the same stuff coming across the microphone when it's like, and now, right? Make way for this dude that's going to go up and do something in front of the people. And I remember checking with Simone. We've been married for 21 years, for those who don't know. I remember asking Simone early in our marriage, did that dude that they're talking about up there from the microphone, does he live in your house? So that's my context. Like, I'm trying to not be what I saw when I was a little boy. I was like, do you know him? That guy that everybody's happy about, everybody's excited about, making way for. Like, does he live in your house? And if she told me no, I would have quit all of that. I'm telling you that. If she'd have been like, nah, I don't know that guy. I wish he lived in my house. I would have gave it all up.
That's such a what's the word that I'm looking for? For lack of a better term, it's a lovely thing to say. Why? Because it puts us in position now to honestly say that we're doing the self-assessing, right? And trying our best to be as authentic as we possibly can be.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be a public success and a private failure.
No.
That
doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I gotta live with me. And when I walk past the mirror or I look myself in the mirror, I want to be able to say you're not what you want to be, but you're not what you used to be. And
yes,
I want to be able to, and the one person, you know what I'm saying, D? The one person who can really tell you that is your spouse.
Can you imagine?
The one person. That's why I'm always in this season of my life. Like, I always run things by faith and have conversations with faith.
Keep the faith.
I want to be able to say, especially in your circumstance, because I'm in front of the people all the time. The person that you see and the person that I am at home, are they the same person? Now, she has a lot to say to me about who I am as a father, because she's like, your relationship with me is good, but
But it's
sometimes,
not. But pause before you get to that. It's not in whatever you're about to say is not inauthentic though.
yes.
It is not unholy and it is not inauthentic. So I just want to say that before you get to that point where you go.
Yes. No. I was just saying that she has the autonomy
Mm-hmm.
and she has the authority and the freedom to say what she needs to say. Number one, because I've given her that. Once again, we started this whole thing off by saying, what name did we have, or what name did our marriage have, and what's the new name that we're giving our marriage, right? And by giving her the autonomy, by giving her the authority, by giving her the freedom to be able to give me quote unquote lemon squeezes, right? Is me saying that I want to give my marriage a new name, or names, if you will. And as we were talking in the beginning, the names that I want to give my marriage are also the pillars of my company: love, lifestyle, and legacy. Because before I started, I don't necessarily know that the love was there, or maybe it was there, but what was it that was strong enough that caused you to not have the love anymore, such that you chose divorce?
Yeah.
Because once that happens, along goes the lifestyle and the legacy right down with it.
So for those who don't know, you have had a marriage before.
I have.
And I keep saying keep the faith for those who don't know. That's what I say when he talks about Faith, his wife. But there was a time that you were married younger.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out.
No. 2 years to be exact.
So you were married for 2 years.
2003, divorced in 2005.
Okay. But what you were saying though is that marriage was already slated.
Oh.
Not that it couldn't have worked, but the way that it was reading, you already know, like that wasn't going to work out. Wasn't going to work
I think
out.
one of the things that really allow us to make it work now is, well, what didn't make it work before is that we were very much who we were.
Locked in.
And we were unapologetically selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Not realizing how detrimental that is to the relationship.
Yeah.
But I've saw bits and pieces of it before, where even when I was a child and dealing with my sister, my mother and my sister and her sisters dealing with one another, and even when it came to my grandmother, sometimes when the four women were together, like for real, I would watch them say any old kind of thing to one another, do certain things, and then, you know what I'm saying? People hurt, nobody ain't coming back and apologizing, and you know what I'm saying? What do you think is going to be the end result when you grow up in that kind of dynamic? You know what I'm saying? And so I'm of course I'm much older, so I can't blame that anymore. I can't blame my moves on that anymore. I'm grown. I can make my own decisions. I realize now that stuff was not in alignment with what you want when you think of, let's just not say relationship. Let's just go all the way and say marriage. That stuff is not in alignment with what you know marriage to be.
That's right.
Right?
I have a cousin who's an elder to Lisa and me. And by the way, Auntie Rosalie's on, so she remembers some of our life from way back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I have an older cousin.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 50 this year. Mm-hmm. Lisa's 7 years older than me, so we have a bigger cousin to us.
And let me just, yeah, that's for the two of us.
Yeah. So we have a bigger cousin to us. And there was a time when my cousin, who loves me so much, a woman, loves me so much, was really like coming hard, because she's super pilot, right? Coming hard to build relationship with me. And no diss to that. That was positive, right? But listen, it was early in my marriage. And to make a long story short, like she would say more to me because she was more talkative, more legacy building, moving forward and that kind of a thing. And my responses, she didn't really think were enough.
Yeah.
So she would come and pour, and then I would drip. Well, part of it because of how I'm wired, but the other part was what I told her. I was like, listen, called her name, and I said, listen, it's no diss. Like, of course I love you and appreciate you, but could you just do me a favor? I'm cutting some of the stuff out. Can you do me a favor? Can you show me one successful marriage in my family on either side, please?
Wow.
Can you show me one, please?
Wow.
And when you do not, then you'll understand that my energy is hyper focused.
Yeah.
And people may not understand that. And I'm not trying to get other people to understand. Of course, my big cuz, I wanted her to, because we were in this love discussion, right? But for me, especially early, I had one focus, and that was Simone.
Yeah.
We didn't even have a child till 10 years later. One focus. And I'm like, this got to work. It has to work. This has to be the one that worked.
Has to.
Please. And Lord bless us, man. I'm thankful.
Yeah.
I'm thankful.
Once again, D, it's what happens when you let God choose your name and you not choose your name. Here's how I know. I just want to speak to what you said just now. This has to work.
Mm-hmm.
When I started dating Faith again, right? Because I known her since high school.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't she like your sister's friend?
Yeah, she
if
was.
I remember.
Yeah, she was Tifa's best. It was four of them that used to roll together.
Mm-hmm.
Shannon, Maria, Faith, and my sister. And Faith was at my house like damn near almost every weekend, right?
Mm.
And one of the things that happened, D, when we started dating, is that I was fully aware. It was 7 years before I was getting 6 or 7 years roughly before I was just getting a whole bunch of crap out of my system, right? And just like, as you say, being hyper focused. I'm a dude. I have to be married. If I ain't married, that ain't not for my kind. I don't know how Paul did it. You know what I'm saying? The apostle. I don't know.
No,
how
Paul wasn't like us. I know
wasn't.
that.
I know he wasn't like us. But like for real, when he talks about, you know what I'm saying, dedicating his life, like I am, and I feel like I'm still on that journey now, dedicating all the nooks and crannies. But for me to wander through this life with all these women running around and coming from where I come from, and not, I'm like, okay, God, I know I got to do this again, but I don't want to do this again if you're not doing it. And I used to pray, D.
When you say do this again, you mean what?
Marriage.
Marriage. Be married. Okay.
Right? I know I have to do marriage again. I do. But it took me 6 or 7 years to finally come to grips with, okay, I can do it now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When faith came along, my prayer was like, God, you know what I went through? You were there. You knew it was going to happen long before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm here and I'm dating. And if she ain't the one, let me do something to tick her off, or let her do something to tick me off, such that it's enough where we go our separate ways. But I do not want to move in a direction that you are not, let me not say that is not in alignment with your plans for my life.
Listen, you got greenhouse rules sitting there, man. If the Lord doesn't build the house, those who build it in vain.
Vain.
So I get it. And some people are like, oh, you don't need to be afraid. Like, you don't need to. I think it's besides the point. Like, if you go into a situation with blinders on,
oh, bro,
that's your fault. So they say, and I can't see, and we're talking about something serious, and now I'm thinking about former President Bush too. He said, if you fool me once. Sorry, I can't say the thing. Right. I wanted to say it right, but if I say it, I'm going to laugh because he messed it up. But what he was trying to say was, if you fool me once, shame on you.
Oh, yep, shame on you. If you fool me twice, shame on you.
Yes, if you fool me twice, shame on me. So if I go into a situation, any situation, with either your experience at the forefront of my mind or my experience, which wasn't positive, on the forefront of my mind, and then I run headlong into something negative or dysfunctional without recognizing, like inspiration says, that we have no fear for the future except we forget how God has brought us in the past. But you can make an adaptation to it to say we have no fear for the future except we forget what went wrong. If you forget that you ran your vehicle into a tree when you were drunk, when you were driving a year ago, and you start drinking and getting behind the wheel again, shame on you.
Shame on you.
You see? So it's not a matter of fear. It's not
Make sure they paying attention. For real.
It's not a matter of fear. It's a matter of wisdom. There are times that you can learn from your own experiences in the past, from the past, and from others' experiences. But if I have to learn from my bad experiences over and over again, that means I have an immature and broken and unhealthy mindset.
Yep.
And I'm hard-headed.
You said something that was heavy, and I think, like, for real, we spend a lot of our time looking at the past and what has happened and what we did, as opposed to looking towards the future. It's a reason when you drive your car that the rear view mirror is much smaller than the windshield.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The windshield gives you a big picture of where you're going to, the direction in which you're heading in. The rear view mirror is a small thing that allows you to see just what's going on behind you, so you can make sure that, you know what I'm saying?
Take a peek.
Yeah, every now and then. But
take inventory, take stock, but don't focus.
Oh, don't focus. If you drive that car focusing on that rear view mirror, you are going to wrap up.
I said to my son as I was trying to teach him something real quick one morning, I said, you can't walk forward and look backward at the same time.
Can't do it.
But because this dude is a pilot, hardcore, and some more stuff, he decided, as a young, immature pilot, he decided that he was going to attempt it. I didn't tell him don't try it, but I just sat there. I said, this dude's going to actually try this. And so he started trying it, and he said, see? I said, no. First of all, put your feet on this line. All right? Line those toes up. Okay? And then he starts. He says, see? I said, pause. Your head is not 180 degrees opposite of the direction you're walking. Yep. You're looking over your shoulder. You're looking sideways, and you're still stumbling. I need you to turn your head 180 degrees. He said, that's not possible. I said, I think that's what I just said, Josiah. I think I just said that. And he said, oh, but that's not fair. I said, Josiah, I was teaching you something, but you decided that your daddy with all this gray hair knows nothing about what he's talking about. And you wanted to test it, which is fine. You can test it unless there's some eternal or massive import to what I'm saying to you.
Come on.
But now you know that it's impossible. And don't say it's not fair. I warned you. How many times has that happened to me as a grown man? How many times have I been warned by experiences, by God, by somebody else's experiences, and I still try it?
Come on.
Because me not no sense. You see? And so if marriage is the context, and it is, then marriage is like foundational to community. If the marriages exist, let's say you're in a community where there are no marriages because marriage isn't a thing. I can't speak on that. That's too complicated for me. But where marriage is a status quo, like it is a standard, like where those are not successful, then the community is limited. Now, let me say this before it goes wrong very quickly. There are many people who, for whatever reasons, like I have a friend who wrote a book. He was unintentionally divorced, like unintentionally unmarried. And it hurt him for years. He wrote a whole book on it. Thick book. Yeah, Solon Phillips. Think it's something Waters. I'm trying to remember. I wish I planned to say this and I would have told you the right name. But look him up, Solon Phillips. And he's married now, but something Waters. I think it's something Waters. Colored Water. Look it up. But so there are people who survive and thrive considering what didn't work out. But imagine if things did work out. Imagine if they didn't have to experience the pain that they did. So we know that the Lord is good to us, and there are times that, despite what doesn't work out, he does special things. Like what the enemy meant for evil, God turned it for good. Like, so I'm with that. But imagine how much better it would be.
Yeah.
You see? So like, don't call me, don't text me. I understand all of that. But if that's the case, then the ideal is even better. I haven't had the ideal of much of anything in my life. So, like I said, don't call me, don't text me, because it doesn't make sense, because I understand all of that. But God gives us guidance for a reason, is my whole point.
And that's it pretty much in a nutshell. And I've realized I've maneuvered through this life, David, thinking that I knew enough to make the decisions that I needed to make. And now I understand what Solomon was saying when he said a wise man knows that he knows nothing at all.
Bruh, I took a psych class.
Once again, yeah.
My bad. I think there was a timing issue. Go ahead.
You good. You good. You good.
I took a psych class, man, at University of District of Columbia. We got into class. I was a psych major. Professor said, on the first day, by the time you finish this course, you will know less than you did when you started. You're talking about mindset, bro.
What a thing to say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
What a thing to say. It's kind of like when I start doing premarital coaching with couples and I tell them everything that you think you know about marriage, just release it right now.
Please.
Just release it. Because you think that you have to know something, and it's not until you get bust up your head a couple of times that you realize that, it's what we build together with Christ at the helm. And it has nothing to do with our knowledge of relationship or, Lord have mercy.
Yeah. My friend used to say, because we did teaching together, he would say, and I don't mean academic teaching, I mean like principle-based teaching. He would say, what we don't want is to be the sage on the stage. Look up the word sage, S-A-G-E. And I'm not talking about the herb.
The definition of the word sage?
Yeah, look it up one day. Don't be that icon on the stage. Don't be that guru. Like I say, I mean, you and I both, Quest, we both are public people. I'm on hundreds of radio stations, real radio stations, and a whole bunch of internet stuff at the same time every single day of my life. Mm-hmm. And so people are listening and watching. And if I believe the hype about myself, if I believe the filters that sometimes we put over our cameras, and I think that's really me, if I believe that I am as brilliant as people say, then there's something fundamentally wrong. So like when people build you as a guru, don't even allow that to settle into your psyche like it's true. Because if your influence is worth its weight in salt, your influence divests itself of self and says, we are on a continuum, like a journey of growth and learning. Yesterday in my presentation, I did St. Jerome's version and then E. Cleveland's version of this one. Good, better, best, never let it rest until your good get better and your better best. Everybody says best. And I'm like, bomb, wrong answer. E. Cleveland's version was good, better, best, never let it rest until your good get better and your better, better. And they were like, well, how is that possible? Yeah. I'm like, you're born into a broken humanity.
Yep.
So your best is literally never good enough, which is why we yield our best to God so he can continue to grow us.
Once again, and this is coming full circle because you were saying what you were saying. And I'm like, you never get the opportunity to say that unless God says that you are that.
Correct.
So here's the funny thing. When he was preaching, he was saying that God gave him the name billionaire in this new season. He was like, I'm not comfortable with that. I come from a working class of people. Like millionaire's a stretch. Now you're talking about billionaire?
With a B.
Like that's 999. You know what I'm saying? Like more million. Like other than the million I already got. And it was major for me to pull this off. Now you telling me that? So imagine if I took that name on without him telling me to take that name on.
You mean if you assume it?
Ah, there you go.
Rather than the Lord assigning. Like Jay Moore, you remember him? You know him? I don't remember if you know him. So Jay's my man. Jay said, for the visionaries out there, he was like, you're not no visionary. And I was like, wow, I'm not a visionary. So it didn't bother me one bit, right? Because, even in the vernacular, like that's not my style.
Right.
But he said, for the visionaries out there, you're not a visionary. What you are, if you're successful at what people call being a visionary, is you're good at taking instruction from God. He says, turn left, and you pause and turn left. And then you just stay on that path until he says, turn right. And then you turn right. So when people are applauding you and telling you you're so wonderful, I'm not trying to give you a complex, because trust me, I don't have one. I just do what I do. I don't even really pay attention to much of what I hear about myself, right? So I'm not trying to give you a complex. I'm not saying you're not all that. What I am saying is that the best of who we are is still human, and therefore humanity has its foibles. There is always, like the dude that God said was holy, he was perfect. There was nobody like him. He was a billionaire with a bequest. And he made only good decisions from the point that the story picks up. And guess what? He was broke and almost fully familyless in one day.
In one day.
He didn't say nothing dumb on the internet. He didn't make any bad investments. He did not align himself with a bad currency in the crypto space. Like he didn't buy a social media platform and run it in the ground. Like he didn't do any of that. And he was broke and sick and left with one spouse who wasn't so helpful in 1 or 2 days.
1 day.
Can you imagine? So our best is to yield it to God. And then we're good to go, man. But then we're not taking the praise to ourselves. We're just like, I just listened to what he told me to do.
So I'm hearing you now. And for some folk who may be listening, like for real, like you're going to have to ask God in this season, does my name need to be obedience?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like for real, you've experienced what you've experienced because you've done what you wanted to do. You took the name that you wanted to take on. And you didn't create you didn't give you life. You know what I'm saying? It's like this iPhone saying that I'm going to call myself iPhone or I'm going whatever. You know what I'm saying?
It's artificial intelligence. Quest. It's artificial intelligence. That's not the same as intelligence. There are people who've been committed there are people who've been committed to mental health situations and fired and laid off from their jobs because they thought while they were working on artificial intelligence technology that artificial intelligence became what they call sentient, that thing could actually think for itself. I said that thing could think for itself. So for human beings to begin to believe that we chart our own path independent of God and it leads somewhere positive. I don't care if you're a billionaire with a B. That means absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Right?
So
I think for him, like for real, God doesn't do what he does without a reason behind it.
Correct.
But he said for him, the reason why God gave him the name, because there are children who need fathers. There's homes that you need to build to give to people. There are, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so what is the reason for it? And I realize more and more in this season, and I'm like honing in, like I can tell you, I almost heard it, but I'm diving a little bit deeper. Lord, why love? Why lifestyle? Why legacy? Why greenhouse? because he's the one who really gave me all these ideas, not me. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm realizing more and more because you need to understand that love will cause you to make decisions where you take an L.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said before, I watched my family members go at it sometimes, and some of the stuff that they would say to one another. Like, in Jamaica, sometimes we use certain vernacular, and I mean, I'm gonna kill you, not knowing that we're really not gonna do that. But you know what I'm saying? It is really a little teeter-totter line right there.
But pause. Remember what I said to you before from Vanderhorst, before we got on. You are not what you think you are, what your perception of self is.
You are what you
but
think.
what you think you are. So listen, given a little time, that thing may have materialized because that's what's on the people's minds.
And not only that, death and life is in the power of the tongue. Wherever your mind goes, your energy flows.
Yeah. So let's turn it on its head, man. Give these folks some encouragement and let them go, man. So we have identified the obvious reality. And I hope it's obvious to you. Like, I'm saying it to you because you're listening, you're watching. I don't want you to burn your energy trying to walk forward and look backwards like my little guy did. Like, so we're just going to give you a gimme. The gimme is we are imperfect on our own, I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And our best is not good enough, but that is not to give us a complex. That is to say that we as humans give all that we can give and wonderful, but it's still lacking. Therefore, see, I'm not going to leave you hanging right there.
Yeah.
Therefore, in our marriages, in our mindset, if we have children, in our parenting, in our community, in what we do at our workplace or in our businesses, if we yield all of whatever we are to God, and then our marriages thrive, then we win. So one of our guys, I was trying to do a contract with him to do a team building coaching thing in Miami. And he said, first, before you build my team, I need you to build my first team. I was like, what's your first team? He said, my marriage.
Yep. Come on.
Bro, this is what he said to me.
He's dialed in.
So yeah, give us some hope right here, man. And let's let the people get out of here, man.
I mean, I don't know that there's much that I can say to you. You pretty much said it all. You have to be in a place of recognizing that you are imperfect and in need. It sounds so cliche, but it's the truth. You are in need of a savior.
Mm-hmm.
If you can. One of the things he used to beat in my head from day one is that information changes situations. Do me a favor. Hook up with God and allow him to download the information necessary and make the decisions that you need to make in this season, specifically within the space of your marriage, because it's never only about you, the couple. It's about everybody else who witnesses you first at home, like you said, if you have children, and then everybody else on the outside. You know what I'm going to say? From shaky to good, from good to great. Ultimately, what we want is phenomenal marriages. But as we've been discussing this today, phenomenal marriages don't just happen. It takes work. And a work that is produced by an effort, consistent effort. So let's do that. Work. And we all can win.
Word up. All right, y'all.
There you have it, y'all. I hope you've enjoyed your time with us. Marriage is about mutual love and mutual respect. And it works for those willing to make it work. Real talk, our spouses are treasured jewels given to us to make life better. And the sooner we learn to value one another will be the sooner we become the absolute best versions of ourselves we can be. Until next time,